Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, depending on where you are and what time you are watching our broadcast. Welcome to TV Bakwetu. My name is Frank Saliki, and I'm joined by my colleague Mwelwa. Good evening, Mwelwa.
Good evening, Frank, and good evening to our listeners and to everyone around Zambia and around the world. I think that's a bit, you always forget where you are, and then you say the world, and then the penny drops. So thanks so much.
Yeah, and the penny just drops how wide we are. So what a crazy, 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 crazy day. When my mom was going to bed last night, she said at 9:30, at 9:30 last night, she said, I'm going to bed tomorrow. I don't want to miss tomorrow's play circle. But hasn't it just been a play circle? What a crazy, crazy day, and what a crazy 10 of events. Let's just put it this way. So the people who are in power made a law. They created a law that somebody who loses, if there's a by-election because somebody has lost their seat, the person who lost that seat is not supposed to stand in the said election. The same government that was in power said, in order for you to stand as a member of parliament, you have to have a grade 12 certificate. Now, two people have lost their seats because obviously Lusambo's elections were nullified, and as a result, he lost his seat. So by law, he can't stand in the election that follows. And same goes to Mr. Malaji. He does not have a grade 12 certificate. So by law, he cannot stand. And the question for me is, these people were creating these laws, so they were there. Why didn't Mr. Malaji tell his friends and say, let's not make these laws? He could have just said, listen, guys, now look at your certificate. Now, I do master scrutinize the certificate.
So I pick up a certificate. I think you would think so. And I think we were saying this earlier on, that we are always under the assumption that we are operating on the same wavelength on the humanity level, I think. But when you look at the typical PF candidates or characters, you're left shortchanged to the point that you're asking yourself, really, are these people? The first one is, are they normal? Does the lift go all the way to the top? Are the screws all properly put? And then when they do some of the things like today's antics, you are thinking, well, this is really embarrassing. Even on the leadership point of view. And for one person, like I'll give an example, one person that I've been looking at and saying, well, this guy is really good at his job is Mr. Malsampa. And then today he's like forwarding this whole, I'm trying to remember, it's a Greek term, I think, and it's either Greek or Latin. I think it might be Latin that says, the voice of the people should kind of override maybe other people, other needs, something along those lines. And I'm thinking, which voice? The entire nation kicked you out of government. That was the people's voice. This is a concessionary, a concessionary voice. We're just allowing you a jonko, and then you even again, taking advantage. So I think it's a pity, and they don't look so clever, because I'm thinking they could have actually been clever enough to even try swapping the candidates. I don't know, but I'm thinking that could have been a gimmick, You could send Malaji to Kavushi and Bowman to Kwacha, just in case this was going to happen. Maybe they could find a loophole, but that was just the drama.
It's good drama. Mr. Mapanza, good evening to you.
Good evening. How are you doing? Long time.
Long time indeed. I'm doing very well, thank you. What's your take on today's drama?
Are we on already?
We're on, yes.
Okay. Yeah, that was really, well, it is drama as it is, and it shows that arrogance does not pay. Some people were trying to use arrogance. I think our friends Bowman and Malaji, they thought that they could just use arrogance and ignore what the law says. But what is surprising is the legal opinions that we are getting from different groups. For example, LAS, and then I don't know. I don't know how you take that, but really, my basic, and I'm not a lawyer, so my basic understanding is that those who are arguing that nullification is not disqualification, they're just trying to play around with words, because if the Constitutional Court nullified their elections, there was a reason why the elections were nullified. And because they were nullified, those MPs caused a vacancy. And, the Constitution is, if the one who causes the vacancy cannot stand again in the same place where he has caused the vacancy. So I don't know why lawyers are trying to argue around something that seems to be straightforward to a lay person like myself.
I was just saying earlier, these people knew. So when they were creating the law, so Mr. Malanju was there. Then when they created the law that you have to have a grade 12 certificate, he was there. They probably discussed it amongst themselves before they quickly pushed that through Parliament. So they created that law. They understand. It's as simple as that. You haven't got a grade 12 certificate, you can't stand. Why would then people then try and debate the same law? You haven't got a grade 12 certificate, you haven't got it. If I've got it, it's like if I've got a job and say, Mr. Nkulimba, you need a master's degree in economics to have this job. But then you come and say, I want this job. I haven't got a master's degree in economics, but I want this job. You say, I know you can't. You're not qualified, because one of the things that we needed was somebody to have a master's degree in a particular field, which is the same in this case, where they created something to say you need to have a grade 12 certificate in order for you to stand in these positions. And Mr. Malanji hasn't got that. He has not got that. It's a simple case. He hasn't got that. And whatever argument is, he might have won. He might have got the majority of the votes in the 2001 elections, but he did not qualify. He should not have stood because he did not have the required certificate. Then how do they think they can just drag this to court or say we're going to drag this on? We feel like we're being unfair. It's a law that they created. You haven't got the certificate.
Yeah, I mean, what is amazing, when you listen to him talk about, when he was talking to the returning officer, was saying these are the same papers that I presented in 2016, and I was allowed to participate. So he goes back with the same papers when he knows, the election has been nullified because of the same papers that he submitted in 2016. So I mean, I don't know. What did he think? What did he think would change when the Concord nullified the election because of the papers that he presented, and now he goes with the same papers and argues these are the same papers that I presented in 2016.
It should have known that those papers he presented in 2016, the moment they changed the law, those papers were not valid anymore.
Yeah.
Those papers became invalid. So then he presented that these are the same papers I presented in 2016. Yes, you changed the law to make sure that the papers were no longer valid.
Yeah.
So it is, it's just kind of like, what's really going on? And for me, there have been a lot of comments coming in, especially there's been a lot of focus on Kabushi, and probably because of the man involved and the character of the man involved. And we hear things coming on, and we hear Mr. Davis Wheeler coming out this evening and say ECZ will be responsible for the violence that will come out of Kabushi.
Oh my goodness, he said that. So they are gearing up for violence.
So they're gearing again. They've gone back to the old tactics. They've gone back to the old tactics. It's all about having these debates and taking people where we come back. We haven't had violence in Zambia since the New Dawn government was elected. And then they've started the conversation about violence. They knew that what had happened. They knew they were not going to. Their nomination were not going to be successful. They knew that. So they're creating this drama and now threatening violence in a country that experienced so much peace since they left.
Well, I think they're inviting for trouble, because I mean, this is no time to bring back the NATO forces that we saw brandishing guns in Kabushi, beating up people running for their lives. And if Mila thinks that they can go back and bring those NATO forces in Kabushi, he will have himself to blame of what happens afterwards.
And yeah, and that is the thing. We need to like make sure that doesn't happen. When people start threatening violence, we need to need to be put down, because they need to really be shut down very quickly, and the law to be used against them, because this is a simple case. This is the laws they created. What has happened here is they created a law to lock out the opposition. Now what has happened, the same law that they created is not a law that the Chilema government created, by the way. It's the law that they created themselves. They found that this same law that they created, this same law that they wanted for it to work against the opposition, is now working against them.
So that's the problem when you create laws to fix somebody, and the same law that they created has come back to bite them. So until it is changed, I'm sorry, they will have to dance to the same tune that they expected other people to dance.
And that is the point of it. That is the point. And what's happened here is it's their own creation. It's their own creation. And that's why people are coming out and saying, well, these are the papers I presented in 2016. Why are they not good now? Well, you changed the law since 2016.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. They didn't understand what they were doing there when they were changing the law in 2016.
I think it's a level. I think it's a level. Go on, Welo.
I think it's equally the whole idea that they were fixing, which goes back to the statement that was recently made at the beginning of this week, when somebody says, "I'm here to fix the fixer." You know, when everything is created to fix people, it's like you create a trap for yourself. And what they did was they were entrapping themselves, obviously, and not realizing that this could backfire. And then it has backfired now, and they don't even know how to deal with it. They don't know how to work it out. So there's all that going on.
Yeah. You know, there's a comment here from a comment from Conrad M. Chisumba. You know, says David Muir really said that he need to be issued a call out by police. Exactly. I hope somebody can actually go and report this gentleman. If he actually said that, you know, they better report him so that, you know, the problems are nipped in the bud before they begin to cause violence.
Yeah. Yeah. That has to be nipped in the bud very, very, very quickly. We can't go on living the way everybody was living in a country where violence was threatened every now and again. So it has to be dealt with. And we've seen then we've had the law association of Zambia. What's actually going on there? What is going on over there? So they put up this statement to say really there's nothing in the law that says if somebody his elections are nullified that they cannot stand. And just a couple hours ago they've taken that statement off their social media page, Facebook page.
I'm sure they're embarrassed by. I mean, the reason why they are pulling it out is because they're embarrassed by that statement. You know, it's like you know, I read you know, something that was forwarded by somebody on one of other fora, saying that you know, a lawyer said, you know, somebody was seeking advice on what's happening because it seems the lawyers are causing confusion. The lawyers in LAS are saying one thing, and the lawyers in ECZ are saying one thing. And the response was, you know, us lawyers are paid to cause confusion, even confusion amongst ourselves. I mean, really? You know, you went to school to start law only to cause confusion?
It seems to be the case, isn't it? It seems to be the case. It's like this. I called it the museum of confusion. That's what the whole PF thing has been. It's been all about a museum of confusion. And I think we've seen over the last few weeks just the calmness and the peace in the country that I've experienced. Ministers are more bothered about working. Our permanent secretaries are working. You don't hear the thing of former permanent secretaries who are rarely at their office working. There is calm. These people, the thing is, we're treated. Somebody said to me a few months ago, when we were talking about the PF, we speak about them like they were normal people like us. The things that they did they were not normal things.
No, not at all.
Even the people who steal, if they're stealing something, they try and hide it. They don't flash it right in your face. These people are just flashing this money right in our face. You see young PF members just throwing money everywhere, bags of money and everything else. They were not even hiding. Literally, like, we're stealing right in our face. So they seem to carry this thing of confusion around them, and they just never did things a normal way.
No, they never did things in the normal way. Look. We had this gentleman, the same gentleman who is trying to stand in Kavushi, you know, on a public forum, you know, on a radio program, no, you know, without shame, saying, when we steal for the future. For him, it was normal to steal for the future. How can a normal person justify stealing because he wants to look after himself in the future. Why don't you just work hard, earn your money, and then you live your life? But to justify stealing because you want to steal for the future, that for you is not a normal life. These guys were not living in a real world. That was not a normal life.
They were not. They were not. They were in some imaginary world where they were so convinced that they were doing something that was right. And it's like a couple of minutes ago, I saw this video where I think it's Mr. Bowman and some of his fans are actually crying, and he's saying, "No, Ichipani, Tamushibe." And I'm looking at Ichipani Mama and I'm thinking, Ichipani Mama you know, isn't that utter stupidity? Because if you reduce your parents and you substitute them for a political party, you think you're gonna be okay mentally. There's a lot off there. So I think, and further embarrassing equally is Laz, because I think Laz on this one have kind of kicked themselves, especially that now you can't find their statements that they'd made on their own page. So it's left you wondering: are they retracting it? Are they changing their statement? Are they at least they should have said something. Say maybe we're reconsidering what we had said yesterday, or we think maybe we might have erred in the way we came across. But something should have been put rather than just the nothing. The removal of that of the and we have it in hand already.
And they just take it away. They just take it away, and without and just going back, even President Lungu himself. I think we all remember his infamous speech. It was almost like you can steal a little bit, leave something in there. But it's kind of like it's like.
Sorry, go ahead.
It's like just saying you can steal. You can steal a little bit. Don't steal everything. Steal some, leave some. The whole idea of stealing anything in government, that should not have been a conversation. When you're working for the people, nobody should be talking about getting money getting money from the people. It's all about serving. People have to go in there serving. These people went into government. They became rich. So you get people like Bob and Lusambo saying, I've got these businesses and everything else. Right? So you say, right, okay, you've got business. Can you show us your business? Can you show us your business accounts? How much turnover did you have in 2001? How much profit did you make? How much money does it make? How much tax have you paid? These are the things that people who've got businesses can produce. If Mr. Nkulimba, you've got a business, I come to you and you say, I've got a legitimate business, you're going to our papers. So these people are trying to say, no, I've got these businesses and businesses that have made money. Anybody who's run a business know that you can't start a business and make a 1 million kwacha profits in the first year. It takes building that up before you even start making profits. These people just went to building houses. Genuine business people who are starting a business from scratch. The few years of hardships, and there's a statistics I read that says 90% of businesses fail in the first 5 years because business is tough. But these people seem to find it easy to make profits, and not just a little bit of profits, millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of profit. They can't explain where this money has come from.
Yeah,
so, Go on.
I think that's a tragedy. That's a tragedy of perception, and I would say lack of education. Because like I have said it before, if you are to steal, the idea would be, you go to a Swiss account somewhere or a country that is a heaven where you can safely hide your loot. And then when you have retired years and years on, then you go and collect it. Or like our former granddad who went and buried it, the talents of the Bible, where somebody went and buried his potential investment. Yeah. There's that kind of thing. But the reason I even use that terminology is because I think that these people, this was a cartel. This was not a government. And I think we need to start saying it as it is, that this was not a government. This was an illegal cartel of individuals who grouped together, and the environment was right for them to group together. They were able to do things together, knowing that maybe this one is going to protect me and the other is not going to, rat me out and say, look, I'm maybe a thief, and that kind of thing. So this was ripe, and I think we're really blessed that we don't have that cartel still in government, and we're yet to. I think we are yet to see this. What we've seen isn't even it. We're yet to see even worse on that front. And I think the idea that when people equally talk about things like we are talking about them, and we still have minorities or people that will still look for things. So I think I've highlighted something on the screen, and you waste your time, watching foreigners. And I'm thinking, foreigners, but we're able to see things as they are, because it's a perception thing, where people are not able to see things as they are. If you look at the previous administration, for me, it is a cartel. It operated like a cartel. That's why they had this, the grassroots, the little thugs who were, evading our spaces. You can't get onto a public bus. So for you, I think Ryan that says we're foreigners, I'm so sorry. We're not foreigners, actually. We are Zambians. So I'm aware that I know that there were thugs. If I tried to get on a bus, there would be a thug who would come and demand for money. And those were their grassroots. That's why they were able to go to their own secretariat and insult their own people. They were able to kill each other, because this was a thing. These were thugs that were running the nation. And I think we need to really call it out as it is. And I don't even feel awful about what happened today. I just think, thank God, if we're not going to have the PF in that ballot box, really good, it gives us a chance to get another maybe political party that can stand there. And the more opposition that we can get into the government, the better, I think. A credible type of opposition. Because the more we have these elements of the thug, we still are going to have to be dealing with the thug mentality. They will still be pushing their rhetoric, and we'll still, it'll be just like, the chances are we can still have them, even in the grassroots, still, because I look at the crowd that was taken today in Kabushi, the Chititangombe kind of thing. People are still following this thought process. They are still thinking that this is a savior of sorts. So it still tells me that people still need a lot of mindset change. And if we can get that crop of politicians completely out, and again, this is my other problem that I have with the UPND, is I wish they would not welcome these people that were in the PF when they move into the UPND. Because we really need a cleansing of sorts in the political arena. And as long as we're getting the old elements, getting them back in, welcoming them with open arms, and even offering them positions, rather than giving okay, prove yourself. I don't mind them joining. And then you say, right, maybe prove yourself in the party for the next 3, 4, 5 years, or you can only join us mid through this term as we're in government. But where we are actually rolling out carpets and welcoming people from the PF, I'm thinking we're tainting you can never clear something with the bad. If you put a rotten element in the good, everything becomes rotten. So I think we really need to be careful that we never go back and we don't entertain the new ones coming in, because they're still rotten. As long as they were part of that crowd, they are still rotten. I submit.
What I wanted to really, say in this context is the issue of culture. You develop a culture from from a habit, isn't it? You begin it's like a habit. From a habit it becomes a norm, and before you know it, it has just become part of life. And these are things that have been there, although maybe we haven't really investigated them. The issue of culture, the belief system, which is in our people. You say, the sayings like obviously I know that it was misused, but people will choose how to interpret that one depending on how they want to interpret it, because as long as it is into their benefit, they will interpret that way. And that's why you saw that there was so much excitement. And in fact, that's when thieving multiplied. after making those statements. But here's the point I'm trying to drive home. You know, the people that we have in leadership have come from us as a society, and the things they do and how they do them reflects how our society works. Now, what makes a difference is the type of leader you bring forth. Because if you are in a culture that accepts stealing, glorifies stealing, as long as the person who has stolen has not stolen from you, it's okay. And if the person has stolen and is going to share that money he has stolen with you, it's okay. And that's what you see that in Kavushi. They are following not because they love that man. They love the money that he has stolen. It's the money that they are following. They don't see anything wrong in benefiting from the stealing that he did. And that's a cultural issue that we have to deal with. And look, it's like, you know, it depends. Look at how it depends on which leader comes into leadership. Look at what happened when Mwanawasa became president. You know, he fought corruption with. Of course, he was not an angel. He was not perfect, but generally he fought corruption with a passion, and he was not afraid to even give an example of people who there was a cabinet minister who was fired, you know, because of corruption, and that was sending a message right early in Mwanawasa's government. Now you bring another leader, things go to the other side. You know, we really need to work on, you know, the mindset change is a big theme here. But how do we actually bring about this mindset change? When you have people who glorify the thieving, when you have got people who are not prepared to work for themselves, but they are prepared to receive handouts. You know, this government has created opportunities for people to thrive, to start their businesses. But how, it's amazing how you find people are going to rush for handouts. If it's a grant, they are going to rush for grants in thousands. But if it's a loan, regardless of just the minimum interest of 5%, people are shunning the loans. Why? It's the mindset. People are used to free things. They would rather go for grants and not get a loan, even when a loan you're just supposed to pay 5% interest. So that's where we are.
It's an interesting one. It's a culture that was created because if you think about those PF youth, they were getting everything. They were just like felt entitled to everything. They could do everything on the streets. They could go and collect money from poor marketeers who were just trying to earn their bread and butter. People were literally, they were law to themselves. People were going into police offices and beating up the police, and there was no consequences because they felt they're untouchable. And when Mwelwa said that was not a government, they were a group of thugs. And you get the situation where President Sata dies, and I've always said this. President Lunga was what you call a situational president. It just happened to be there, and then he became a president. If he started a political party on his own, he doesn't get anywhere near being the president of the country. And that's the problem the problem we have. He literally gets nowhere near being. He became president because the PF was still quite popular. People still liked Michael Sata, and his campaign was based on, we're going to carry on the work that Mr. Sata started, which he never did. And everybody shared all the resources in the country. And that's a problem we have. We're joined by Dr. Barbara. Dr. Barbara, what a day. What a day. You are mute. You don't seem to be on mute, but there's no sound.
Mm.
Yeah, while Doc Barbara is trying to find her sound, I just wanted to make another comment. You talked about Eddie Kalungu having come into the presidency. I mean, even the way he came into the presidency, you think, it was because those that helped him to become president, they were looking for a weak leader who would allow them to continue doing the wrong thing that they wanted to do. So they are simply fulfilling their own agenda. They are not in government to save Zambians. They were in government to save themselves. And they had to find a weak spot that will allow them to do whatever they wanted. And that's what we saw. They just did whatever they wanted to do. And the man sat there and did nothing and watched them do wrong things. He watched them maim people. He watched them literally kill people. He watched an institution that the citizens have gave him to use to protect Zambians, the police. He watched them beating, maiming people, and he was quiet. And so, do you wonder why they are stealing millions and he was quiet? That's why they put him there. They wanted someone who was weak, so that they could do whatever they wanted to do.
Yeah. I think, as you said, Mr. Nkulimba, I just think, in fact, the worst part of it for me that I feel is like they just picked the thugs from Chawama. And I totally agree when a friend says, we don't want another president from Chawama, because we could see it. You drive through Chawama and you find somebody has taken a building and made it a PF headquarters of Chawama. And they were running wars in areas like Chawama where he has empowered these people, especially the young thugs, to do what they want to do now. If he was allowing the thug in the street, and this is where I have a bit of a problem, because I think those boys that were empowered with ammunition and guns, they are still coming for us. We have them. They still have their guns. They still have their ammunition. They still have their training, whatever training they got, and they're just waiting for a time when they can pounce. And I just hope they don't pounce on any of the citizen. They pounce back on the people that empowered them, because I think that's why some of them are even very loyal, because they think there's more money coming from where I was empowered before. So I think you're absolutely right, Mr. Nkulimba.
It's a scary prospect, isn't it? It's a very, very scary prospect. When people take, and when we talk about guns, we're not talking about simple guns. They were getting high-powered guns, and there was during just before the election, there were high military guns that were coming into the country, because they really wanted to do everything in their power, everything that they could do to keep power. It did not matter to them how much blood was shed. They were prepared to go all the way. And that's why we really have to thank the tactics of everybody who was involved in the UPND campaign. They did everything that they could do. They found out all the loopholes, everything that the PF were planning in terms of leaking the elections. People worked really hard, and people worked really hard to protect their votes. These people did not live freely, as we found out after the elections. They were still going, we haven't lost these elections. They were not prepared to give away where the milk and honey was coming from, because they didn't have any businesses to go to, as they claim there are so many businesses. For them, just getting our money was a source. Wamkelavai, kimazi wani date.
Nishola, muchwani wosarike.
Petile luna. Well,
Muchwani wonquilimba.
Yes, Amamba.
Tulibiro kavoto, muri buti badala.
Tuligavoto twalumba.
Womwelwa muchwani. You're muted.
You're muted.
Yes. No, it's
what's your take? What's your take today?
I'm just enjoying the unfolding stories, and it's good to see, because we saw this We knew that it was going to happen at one point because now we are in a government that really observes the rule of law, that embraces the rule of law. And I believe the mindset of all the government institutions have actually changed the way they tackle cases, the way they handle any public issues. They do it with due diligence, and I believe what the ECZ did today was an amazing. It was amazing. They s- they just followed what the law says. And as an institution, they have all that autonomy and independence to make any decision that they feel deem fit. And they did exactly like that. So anyone that has a grievance, anyone that may think they acted outrageously, they did not follow the right procedure, please utilize the court. Unfortunately, I'm just told that the court also it's no longer also entertaining some of these They are trying to use the court now as a political way out. Unfortunately, the court also they also have adopted this new mindset that we don't have to involve politicians; they cannot control us anymore, and they just made a decision according to their professionalism. They decided to just dismiss all those whatever petition they so-called affected the complainant had. So I'm happy to see that the rule of law in our country is working, and Wohaka Inde with the new dawn. I think you are doing the great thing. And the only best thing that we can do right now is to support every well-meaning Zambian should stand behind this current government and help them to achieve the Zambia we want tomorrow, not the Zambia that belonged to the gangsters. We were not gangsters. We are known as peace and loving people. Hence, the tranquility that we have enjoyed for years and the peacefulness that we have enjoyed for years, including the very Kelenkas. They also know, down deep their heart, they know that they have some softness in them. They know they have some peace in them. They know, but they want to just do it to protect their interests, their so-called selfishly acquired wealth, and they don't want anyone to come and grab those things from them, and they want to protect. Why? I will ask the same question to say, why would you claim that you made money through business, not through government, and yet here you are lining up, even causing trouble, confusion, wanting to come back into government or into power? What happened to your business, your private business, where you were making billions of kwachas? So this goes to show that
One kilobyte. If I've got a helicopter, I'm not caring. If I can afford a helicopter, I'm not caring about going back to parliament, am I?
This goes to show this goes to show that these guys, they were not benefiting from their own private business, because we know how hard honestly these genuine business entrepreneurs, the business people, they were having difficulties to access their profits, or to even have to do well in their businesses for the past 10 years. They have been struggling. And yet somebody, by virtue of being a politician in a ruling party, start making 2,000% profit without even any business experience or qualification. So to me,
I need them to teach me how to do business. I want to make the profit. I know we're running out of time. Just give a chance, Dr. Barbara.
Anyway, that's what I wanted to say.
Can you hear me better now?
We can hear you now.
I'm so sorry about that. I had my iPods on, didn't realize that I've lost them, and I didn't know where they were. I still don't know where they are. They've dropped it somewhere. Anyway, good evening, everybody. I've been lost for a long time because I had surgery, so I had some time off. But the news is shocking. It's like so much news, no time to analyze anything. You know, the PF, the problem with the PF is, since Sata died, I've got my own opinions about Vasat, even if I may have been related to him. You know, all Bembas are related one way or the other, so we think. Since he died, there was no one in control in PF. It was free for all. So on paper, some of these people made so much money that you'd think they're astute or intelligent businessmen, but they are not. People are just going to pick up whatever they wanted, because how is it that after you've been known to have 2 million as spare change, the next minute they're chasing you for clothes that you haven't paid? Because that means you'd have gone into that shop, picked up these suits and say, I'm going to pay them. Same applied with food. There are people who used to go to certain supermarkets, pick up gallons and gallons of cooking oil for themselves, for their girlfriend. Same applied with fuel for their cars. The fuel the fuel for the government car would be for their car, their girlfriend, their my nini, my guru, my medium. If there are 4 women, would all be getting fuel from there. Now imagine if now they no longer have access to that. These people start thinking the economy is really bad because it's the first time they're paying for things. You know, just like in the mining area, mining time, just after independence, you know, the miners, my grandfather used to say they used to be given buns just for free. After independence, then they were advised that they needed to buy for their breakfast. They thought the economy was tough because they never bought these things. Same about PS, they're absolutely shocking. The problem is they are thugs, proper thugs. Can you imagine I get sacked the following day, I go to apply for the job, I heard there's a vacancy, so I'm here. People say they love me. I know I did things badly in Italy, but anyway, people love me. There's no moral, no remorse. I can't.
It's crazy, isn't it? You're just like, you fired me from that job. Yeah, I think I'm still good for that job. Can you hire me again?
Yeah, I'm still good for that job. People say they love me.
Yeah.
And I've just remembered the president talking about the sewer in Kavushi, and I'm thinking, oh gosh, it's so embarrassing.
What was he saying? Have you seen the sewer in Kavushi? And then somebody saying 21 boy.
No, but PF na bachitafe retire. In Lozi, we say muswavile ne muli mwendi mukolisize kono kachekule luna luichela koveka mutwa, meaning they thought they were untouchable, they thought they were clever, but here we are today. Who has the last laugh? We are enjoying the peace, we are enjoying the dividend of voting in the right candidate into office. So, Balaveko, Banyala, that's the only word we can simply use against them to say, whoa, Mutwabile. They thought they were going to rule for the rest of their lives. Unfortunately, we booted them out without notice.
Oh, what a crazy
So,
day.
Yes.
What a crazy, crazy day. So we can go on forever and ever because this is crazy. What a crazy, crazy day. But every good thing has to come to an end. So we gotta come. We gotta close it. I've gotta give a chance. Everybody should just have the last saying, the last word. So what a day we've had. So in conclusion, we had a member of parliament who was part of creating a law that said if you haven't got a grade 12 certificate, you can't stand as a member of parliament, and stood as a member of parliament. And he was told you can't be a member of parliament because you haven't got a grade 12 certificate. And his argument is the same papers were accepted in 2016. Why can't they be accepted now? Let's forget after 2016, the law was changed. Then we've had another one who took everyone, every kid, every people's children to follow him because he's going to file in his he's going to file in his nomination, clearly knowing he was never going to be successful, and then more kafafo. So we got two people really who are part of creating the law so that they can block other people, and the same law that they created is blocking them from standing. I think it's important to note in everything that people are going to say, the law was not created by the Hakainde Hichilema government. And people will say, oh, the government, they're going to argue the government, they're trying to block us. The law was not created by the Hakainde Hichilema government. The law was created. The two people who are involved in this matter were all involved in creating the two laws that are stopping them from standing as members of parliament. Mr. Mapanza, last word.
Well, the last word is really, when you look at the two people, look at the issues that surround them. The issue of not having a grade 12 certificate. And the other gentleman, I don't know how far he went in his education, but when you look at his reasoning, I really wonder why why we as Zambians do not, choose quality to go and represent us in parliament. When you have the types of Boma and Lusambo becoming leaders of our country, and you look at their kind of reasoning and thinking, that's dangerous. That's really, to say the least, it's dangerous. And I think this process is the natural process to take out those that shouldn't be in parliament in the first place because of what they have, because of their their perspectives to life, their culture of thieving, and things like those. So I think for me, this is good riddance.
Very good. Dr. Barbara, last word.
Yeah, my last words is like, it's like football. If somebody is playing and then the referee says that goal has been nullified, another one says it's been disqualified, is there even a goal that you need to discuss at that point? That's the way these two people are going on. No, I was not nullified. The other lawyers say I was disqualified. Whether you were nullified or disqualified, you still won't be playing. That's the bottom line. But they don't seem to get it. And then they want to make it like it's about Bali. The difference between them and Bali is like, I don't even know. It's like the difference between trying to discuss business with a baby and an adult. They are so childish. Whatever they do is so outdated. Oof. Anyway, good riddance to them. I've got nothing good to say about them. I tried to search to see, let's see something good about it. I'm thinking, maybe they are loved in their communities. Then I'm thinking, of course, if you're using government money and throwing away, disrespecting people and giving them meal, lowering their self-esteem, you think you're the king in the paddle when the actual fact you're not. Anyway, let me submit. No sympathy for
Dr. Babs, if you came to my house and gave me £2,000 today, I'll have every nice thing to say about you.
Not just give it to me to your account. I call your friends. I call your friends and then I throw it to you and say, here's the 2,000 pounds. Come on.
I'll be like, she's angelic. You can do whatever you want to do. I'll be forever grateful and supportive.
I didn't bring the cameras to show that, oh, this is me now handing out the money.
Oh, Kilamai, last word.
Luitume started. My messages to the Kabushi residents, our fellow brothers and sisters, namumone fichitike tekutira ati naba posera kuwaya yo, you still have hope, you still have chances to choose the right candidate that can represent you in parliament and table your problems in parliament and make good laws. Naimwe bakwacha nchimo chine mwimona kwati empela ya chalo iyo abantu abo masalile mwabasalile pamulandu wafipe bale mipela utuma president bale mipela ukumishita imwa apole mulelira nokulira tule mimona utuma video muletuma you are crying because chile mikalipa indala mashira bale mipela alanashi na baleka because tabali mu maka tabakweta maka tabali mu chipani. So I'm sorry, the time of lining up tantameni na ipwa inshtaino kubombesha na maka isule ntuma business twenu kabyeni mukasende ndalama ku CDF pangene associations musende mpia muchite ama business. You earn money genuinely, not if you kutantama fya kulalumbo muntu umo kwati nilesa mwirachi tefyo ala mwandini mwamona apa. This should be a lesson to every Zambian that awe amaka yali mu bantu, not an individual.
Thank you very much, Mam Kilavai. At my PF now, but if I VAR. Oh, Mamuelwa, last word.
The funny thing that I'm now thinking of is, even their nicknames, the Bonanza and the Bulldozer, you begin to look at this from a funny point of view, and maybe because I'm satirical, so maybe that's why I'm thinking of this, but it just feels like the emperors are finally realizing that they're naked, in the Emperor's New Clothes story, and each emperor, when they realize that they're naked, is as dramatic, that we have such a dramatic day. And it's so embarrassing, and you're laughing because obviously someone's just realized that they're naked. And I have it in mind, probably this is a joke, that now that the Bill 10 can come into effect, because now the people that because they were doing it just to fix other people kind of thing, and now it's going to be maybe a lot more concrete. It's going to be inclusive. Laws are going to reflect what people want and not what the leadership really want. So I think for me, that's the exciting thing, that at least we are now seeing a crop of credible leaders, and we're hoping that we're going to be holding them accountable. Because I think that's the other thing we're now doing. We're really holding them accountable, which is really good. So I think the more we hold people accountable and we're honest, quite brutally honest, and say, look, if you're this politician and you're doing something wrong, we can tell you off and we're going to hold you accountable. So I think for me, I feel that's really the plus that has come from this day, and how even the different bodies that they came into contact with, like the ECZ, they handled this very professionally. The police equally worked professionally. So this really showcased how there's been such a big transition from the old to the new. So thank you so much.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. I don't think in the old regime, Bob and Lusambo as an opposition would have been able to take that many people without any kafafa, without any shots being fired. And it just shows where we are, the state of our government, the way we are at the moment. And it's important we keep that. It's important we support that. I think after the elections, I said something. I said, the colors of our political parties should not divide us. We should accept that people are going to have different views, different opinions to us. But what we should never accept is anybody who sits on our laws. What we should never accept ever again is anybody who's going to support something that is going to harm our fellow citizens. There's nothing that if we are going to have a debate about certain things, if we have a random topic, the five of us will have different opinion about certain topics. That's fine. We can still get on. When we talk about one Zambia, one nation, doesn't mean we all have to think that we all have to think exactly the same. You know, I'm glad the whole world doesn't think the way I think all the time. It's always it works really well that people can have different opinions, that people can see things from a different way, and that's something that we have to create in our country. That somebody who thinks differently is not our enemy. They just got a different opinion, and it was good to see the president supporting, writing a wonderful message for KBF and congratulating him on him launching a political party. And I thought that is a breath of fresh air. He's not thinking, oh, I gotta think about what he's going to say or anything else. He's a president who's prepared to have a debate about the economy and quite prepared, and he believes in his policies. So that is very good. So what a day. What a crazy political day in the Zambian political landscape. So we will wait and see how this is going to unfold. As we know, they can still appeal, so this might drag on a little bit longer. And unfortunately, the people in Kwacha and Kabushi might not have a member of parliament for another month if all this petition goes on, unfortunately. So we're going to keep tabs and see what is going to come up in the next few weeks. Thank you so much for joining us. This has been Frank Saliki with Mr. Mapanzan Kwilimba, with Mwelwa, with Dr. Barbara, and Wom Kilavai saying, God bless you, God bless our country, and shall see you very soon.